Okay, so you want to own a golf course. Rolling green fairways, a clubhouse with your name over the bar, members waving from their carts as they roll by. That's the picture. That's the postcard. Here's what the postcard doesn't show you. A $400,000 irrigation system that just failed in July. A maintenance crew you can't find enough of. And a bank statement that says you lost money in a year when every tee time was booked. Golf courses are one of the strangest businesses in America, because from the outside, they look like real estate. Green, open, valuable land. But once you own one, you find out very fast that a golf course is not a real estate asset. It is a 150-acre outdoor factory that produces exactly one product a round of golf, and that product has to be manufactured fresh every single day, rain or shine, whether anyone shows up to buy it or not. And the moment you understand that, everything about how a golf course makes money, and how it quietly bleeds money, starts to make sense. Let's start with what it costs to get in the door. Because buy some land and plant grass is not even close to the real number. There isn't one kind of golf course. There are several, and each one is a completely different bet. At the bottom, you have municipal and low-fee public courses, often owned by a city or county, charging $20 to $40 a round, built for volume and accessibility. Above that sit daily fee public courses, privately owned, charging $50 to $150 a round depending on the market, competing hard on conditioning and pace of play. Above that, semi-private clubs, which sell memberships to a core group but still take public tee times to fill gaps in the schedule. And at the top, full private country clubs, which don't really sell golf at all. They sell exclusivity initiation fees of $25,000 to $250,000, monthly dues on top of that, and a golf course that exists mostly as scenery for people who are actually paying for the social status of belonging. Each of those is a different answer to the same question. Do you make your money from a large number of people paying a little, or a small number of people paying a lot? That decision shapes every other number in the business. Now, here's where the naive mental model breaks. You think the expensive part is the land. It isn't, or at least it isn't the whole story. A regulation 18-hole course needs 110 to 190 acres, depending on design, and land costs alone can range from under $1 million in a rural market to tens of millions near a major metro. But the land is just a canvas. Building the actual golf course, shaping fairways, grading greens, installing drainage runs $4 million to $12 million for a quality 18-hole layout, and that's before a clubhouse exists. Irrigation alone, the underground pipe and sprinkler network that keeps 100+ acres of turf alive through a summer, costs $1.5 million to $3 million on a modern system. Then there's the clubhouse, the pro shop, the cart barn, and the maintenance facility, which together can add another $3 million to $10 million, depending on how much you're trying to impress people. Add a fleet of golf carts, 60 to 100 of them, at $6,000 to $10,000 each new, or leased for a recurring monthly bill and a mower fleet alone. The specialized equipment needed to cut greens, fairways, and rough at different heights can run $500,000 to $1.5 million. Stack all of that together, and a new mid-market golf course can require $15 million to $30 million before a single golfer has paid a green fee. Buying an existing course is usually cheaper up front, but you inherit whatever condition the previous owner left the turf, the irrigation. And the clubhouse roof in and golf course infrastructure does not forgive neglect quietly. So far, so good. Now let's talk about what can go wrong, because the ongoing costs are where this business actually gets dangerous. The single biggest recurring expense most new owners underestimate is water. A golf course, in a hot, dry climate, can use 1 million to 1. 5 million gallons of water a day during peak summer irrigation. At municipal or agricultural water rates, that alone can cost $300,000 to $1 million a year, and in drought-restricted regions like the American Southwest, water rights themselves can become a legal and financial battle that has nothing to do with how good your golf course is. Then there's the turf itself. Grass is not decoration. It's a living, perishable product that has to be mowed, fed, and protected every single day the course is open, and often on the days it's closed, too. A quality maintenance program, fertilizer, fungicide, pesticide, seed, sand for bunkers, and top dressing runs $2,000 to $4,000 per acre per year on a well-maintained course. On 150 acres of maintained turf, that's $300,000 to $600,000 a year just to keep the grass alive and green before you've paid a single person to mow it. And you do need people to mow it. A golf course maintenance crew, the greenkeeping staff, typically runs 8 to 15 full-time and seasonal workers, plus a golf course superintendent who can command $70,000 to $130. $000 a year depending on the course's prestige, because a bad superintendent can kill a green permanently in a single mismanaged summer. Total maintenance labor for a mid-sized course runs $500,000 to $900,000 a year. Add the front of house staff, pro shop attendants, starters, cart staff, food and beverage crew, and total payroll on a mid-market course, lands somewhere between $1 million and $2 million annually. Now, location, this is where a lot of first-time owners get it wrong, because they assume a good location just means a scenic piece of land. It's more specific than that. A golf course's customer base is drawn almost entirely from a 20 to 30 minute drive radius, and within that radius, both the number of golfers and their willingness to pay have to match your pricing model. Here's the uncomfortable industry-wide truth. The number of rounds played in the United States peaked in the late 1990s, and the number of golf facilities has been declining for over 2 decades. With hundreds of courses closing every year since 2006, as supply outpaced demand following the golf boom of the 1990s. Build a $20 million course in a market that can only support a $40 a round public facility, and you've locked in a debt structure your local demand simply cannot service. Now we get to the part of this business that actually explains everything else. The membership model. For the courses that use one, picture 2 kinds of members. One plays 3 rounds a week, every week, walking the course, using the practice range, eating lunch at the grill after every round. The other pays full dues and plays 4 times a year. Which member is more valuable to the club? It's the second one. And this is the single most important idea in the golf business. The same as it is in the gym business. The person who plays constantly wears down the cart battery, compacts the fairway turf, requires the bunkers to be raked more often, occupies a tee time that could otherwise be sold or filled, and consumes staff time. The person who pays dues and rarely shows up costs the club almost nothing, no cart wear, no turf compaction. No staff interaction while their check clears every single month like clockwork. A golf course, like a gym, isn't really selling access to a physical space that must accommodate every member at once. It's selling a statistical bet that most dues-paying members will use the course far less than the course is built to handle. This is why private clubs actively want a large membership roster relative to their tee sheet capacity, because a club full of people who play 4 times a week would need double the tee times, double the carts, and double the maintenance budget to serve the exact same membership revenue. There's a seasonal wrinkle here too, and it shapes the entire financial calendar of the business. In most of the country, golf is a seasonal product. A course in the northern United States might generate 70 to 80% of its annual rounds between April and October, meaning 5 or 6 months of the year, carry almost the entire revenue load, while payroll, debt service, and basic maintenance continue through the winter regardless. Courses in year-round climates like Florida, Arizona, and Southern California don't face this cliff, which is a large part of why golf real estate in those states commands such a premium. The operating math is fundamentally less volatile. Now here's where the psychology becomes just as important as the spreadsheet. Why does someone pay a $50? 0 initiation fee and $800 a month in dues to play golf 8 times a year? Part of it is identity membership at a private club is a signal, not just a service. Part of it is a sunk cost commitment device, the same force that keeps unused gym memberships alive once you've paid the initiation fee. Canceling feels like admitting the money was wasted. So people keep paying dues long after their actual usage has dropped off. And part of it is the network, the business relationships, the social calendar, the standing dinner reservation, none of which shows up on the golf course itself, but all of which shows up on the balance sheet as recurring, low cost to serve revenue. This is also why country clubs make leaving deliberately slow. Membership agreements often require a waiting list buyout, meaning your equity membership can only be resold once a new member is found and approved, sometimes taking years, which keeps the dues flowing from departing members even as they try to exit. Before we get to what can go wrong at scale, there's a category of hidden costs that catches almost every new golf course owner off guard. And it has nothing to do with grass, regulatory, and environmental exposure. Golf courses use significant quantities of fertilizer and pesticide on land that often borders wetlands, waterways, or residential neighborhoods, which means courses are subject to state environmental runoff regulations. And violations can carry fines running into 6 figures along with mandated remediation costs. Many courses also carry a legacy environmental liability from decades of older pesticide use, which can complicate financing or resale. And then there's liability insurance itself. Golf carts flip, lightning strikes open fairways, and errant balls hit people, and cars on adjacent roads with annual liability and property insurance for a full course running $50,000 to $150,000 a year. A number that has climbed sharply in regions facing more frequent extreme weather. Now let's talk about whether a golf course built on this model can actually survive. Because the honest answer is, very often, no. Look at what happened across the American golf industry in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis. Hundreds of golf courses that had been built during the boom years of the 1990s and early 2000s, many financed with aggressive real estate-style debt, on the assumption that rounds played would keep climbing indefinitely. Instead, watch the number of golfers in America plateau and then decline. Courses that had leveraged themselves as amenities for adjacent housing developments were hit twice the housing market collapsed at the same moment the golf demand that was supposed to justify the course collapsed with it. Thousands of American golf courses closed permanently in the years that followed, not because nobody wanted to golf, but because the debt structure required a level of sustained play that the actual market could no longer deliver. The lesson isn't that golf courses can't make money. It's that a golf course financed like a growth business, on the assumption that demand only goes up, is one flat decade away from insolvency, no matter how full the parking lot looks on a Saturday morning. So how does a golf course actually make money in plain mechanical terms once you strip away the debt drama? The core public course engine is green fees times rounds played, plus cart rental, plus food and beverage, minus fixed costs. If a mid-market daily fee course has fixed annual operating costs, payroll, maintenance, insurance, debt service, utilities of around $1, $8 million, and it averages $65 per round, including cart fees, It needs roughly 27,700 rounds a year just to break even. Spread across a season, that's not an outrageous number for a well-located course, but it assumes consistent play, favorable weather, and minimal downtime for course closures or renovation. This is where the second revenue stream becomes essential, and it's the one with genuinely strong margins: food and beverage. A well-run clubhouse restaurant and bar, especially one that captures the post-round crowd and hosts outings, weddings, and tournaments, can carry gross margins far higher than the golf operation itself. Because the marginal cost of serving one more beer at the 19th hole is close to nothing compared to the marginal cost of maintaining one more acre of fairway. Courses with a strong banquet and outing business corporate golf days, charity tournaments, wedding receptions in the clubhouse often find that food, beverage, and event revenue makes up 30 to 40% of total revenue on a well-run public course, and it's disproportionately profitable because it doesn't require any additional turf. Weather is the volatility nobody prices in correctly. A single rained-out weekend in peak season, when a course might normally book 400 to 600 rounds across Saturday and Sunday, can wipe out tens of thousands of dollars of revenue that cannot be recovered. There is no way to sell yesterday's unused tee time today. Courses in regions prone to hurricanes, prolonged rain, or early frost build this volatility into their financial planning, the way a ski resort plans around a bad snow year. But a single unusually wet season can be the difference between a profitable year and a loss, even with strong underlying demand. Now let's put it together and look at the two versions of this business that actually exist. In the optimistic scenario, you've bought or built in a market with genuine sustained demand, kept your debt load conservative relative to the course's realistic round capacity, built a strong food and beverage and outing business alongside the golf operation, and had a normal weather year. Under those conditions, a well-run mid-market daily fee course can generate $2, $5 million to $5 million a year in total revenue, with a net operating margin of 10 to 20%, translating to owner income of $250,000 to $1 million a year, a genuinely strong outcome for the capital and work involved. In the realistic scenario, 2 or 3 ordinary things go wrong. Rounds come in below projection because a new course opened nearby and split the local demand. A wet spring costs you 6 weeks of the best playing weather of the year. Water rates increase, or a heat wave forces expensive emergency turf treatment to save the greens. Under those conditions, that same course can slide from a comfortable double-digit margin into break-even or a loss, even while the course still looks green, well-groomed, and busy most weekends. The swing between those two outcomes on a single mid-sized course can be well over $500,000 in a single year, and almost none of it shows up as a dramatic visible event. No fire, no scandal, just a slightly wetter spring, a slightly higher water bill, and a slightly softer outing calendar, compounding quietly until the number at the bottom of the spreadsheet looks nothing like the plan. So if you do decide to buy a golf course, remember the one thing that actually determines whether you survive. It was never really about how beautiful the fairways look on opening day. It's about whether you can service the debt, keep the grass alive, and keep the clubhouse full on the days the weather doesn't cooperate.